Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Tales from the Customer. In today's episode, you don't get to decide who is and isn't allergic to something, period. Electricity went out, but we still got served. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You don't get to decide who is and isn't allergic to something, period. So this has basically just happened. Apologies for the ranting and the mobile format. My boyfriend and I were out for an anniversary lunch. We went to a slightly fancy place because it's a celebration, but somewhere we had been before, so we knew it, and most importantly trusted them. This is because my boyfriend has celiac disease. He was diagnosed years ago, before going gluten-free as a fad began. This means zero bread, zero pasta, zero pastry. Simple enough to understand, right? Apparently not. So we went to this place before because they claimed to have contamination-free areas for preparing dishes for those who requested it. They also had specific free products, including gluten-free bread and pasta. They were as good as their word. My boyfriend had a great meal, and didn't have any pains or repercussions afterwards, something uncommon for us. It was a no-brainer to go here again, and checked online to make sure that there weren't any bad reviews or red flags about dining with allergies. Not a crossword. This time was different. We got there in good time, were sat down and ordered drinks, and decided on what we wanted. The menu, as it had done before, clearly stated the gluten-free options available. We'd seen online that someone had ordered a gluten-free filled pasta, which is something my boyfriend loves. Our initial waitress was as helpful as anything when we asked about it, saying that they did indeed have a filled pasta, but served it in a slightly different sauce as the kitchen couldn't promise that the original sauce was safe from cross-contamination. My boyfriend was happy enough with that, and ordered it as his entree. He had a plain salad as his appetizer, which we were also told was gluten-free. Appetizers come and are eaten, we drink wine because why not, and wait for our entree. They both come out promptly, but it's clear that the sauce served with my boyfriend's pasta is the normal sauce, and not the sauce that the waitress said would come with it. We queried it, and the waitress said that it must have been a mix-up with a normal meal placed at the same time that she hadn't clocked in time. She came back a few minutes later saying that the kitchen had already sent out the gluten-free meal, but were making a new dish already, and it would be out as soon as possible. She also comped our appetizers, and said she'd see if she could sweet-talk the shift manager, and get us a free dessert since it was our anniversary, since we'd be in there for a little bit longer. I can only say what I saw, which was the waitress going over to a middle-aged woman standing by the bar, talking for a minute, and pointing over in our direction. The next thing we know, the woman has sped over to our table, and is asking what kind of scam we're pulling. We said nothing since we were confused about why she was being so confrontational, and she started going on about how the pasta was definitely gluten-free, and we had no reason to send it back. My boyfriend started to explain that it was the sauce that was the issue since we were only going on what we were told, and apparently it wasn't safe for celiacs. The manager then started snarling about how she was so fed up with the craze, and that kids like us, we're in our early 20s, so we're probably just arrogant millennials to her, are so sensitive that we need all these labels. The waitress brought over the new dish of pasta at that point, but the manager snatched it from her and started taking it back to the kitchen, saying that the precious table couldn't eat anything unless the chef told her that it was all safe to eat. I really wish we had left then, but the waitress looked so nervous that I felt like we had to stay just so we could tip her well when we finally left. The manager and the food came back a couple of minutes later. She kept a tight hold on the dish, asking sarcastically if we felt safe yet, or does she need to drag the head chef away from his job to please us? My boyfriend said that everything was fine and even thanked her for her level of care. He's the calm and collected one. I was ready to flip, and started eating as quickly as possible, if only to get out of there. I was halfway done with mine anyway, so we just sat and ate until we were both done. I was seething that our anniversary had been ruined so soon by the manager's attitude, but the worst was still to come. We flag down the waitress as soon as we are done and say we want the bill. She says she understands completely and apologizes for everything. She's gone for a little while, and comes back as white as a sheet. She says she went into the kitchen to check on another order and saw a pasta dish that looked exactly like the dish my boyfriend had sitting alone on a side. She asked if it was meant to be going out, and she is told that it's the one that the manager brought back in about 15 minutes ago. The waitress says the manager brought it back out to the customer, but she is told that the manager cornered the chef who was doing the pasta-style dishes and told him to drain some normal pasta and serve it with the gluten-free sauce for a particularly demanding customer who didn't need the gluten-free pasta. Guess who just ate a whole dish of gluten? My celiac boyfriend. The waitress had comped more or less everything but the wine. I insisted that we paid for all of my dishes, and then gave her a pretty big tip on top. We didn't know what the deal with comped meals was, but she didn't deserve to lose out on a table because of her whole manager. To cut out the gruesome bits somewhat, my anniversary afternoon and evening has been, and will be spent with my boyfriend shut in the bathroom as things come out of both ends. His stomach has bloated so much that he looks several months pregnant. He will be having repercussions from this for weeks, and maybe even months. I am so annoyed that I daren't write a review about it, since I will end up threatening the manager on a very aggressive, personal level. I want to call anyone and everyone, from my mom to the local news, about this. I keep on bearing in mind that if I go nuclear, and I can, then people like the poor waitress who served us will be out of a job. Until I get my head straight, this is the only place I can rant, so thanks, and well done if you got this far. Electricity went out, but we still got served. This just happened yesterday evening. Apologies right now, as this story may not be as interesting or absolutely crazy as others on here. Anywho, on to the tale. My parents came into town to visit for the weekend. We didn't want to cook, so we decided to try out this Mediterranean restaurant that I had really wanted to go to. When we entered, we noticed it was a pretty small place, with only one server serving about 6 tables, a cook, and the owner running between the restaurant and the kitchen. It smelled really good, and I was super excited to get me a gyro wrap. About 5 minutes after we were seated, the whole place went dark. The electricity just went out. I checked on my phone and sure enough, there was an outage going on in the area. The owner was going to each table apologizing. Not all of the tables had gotten their food yet, and we hadn't gotten our drink order. Well fudge, guess I won't be getting that gyro wrap today after all. We didn't want to impose on the owner and server and ask them to serve us anyway, since it wasn't their fault the electricity went out, and we could just easily come on another day. However, when the owner came over, she wouldn't have it. She still wanted to serve us. We got our drinks and our food came out quickly, piping hot. This was about 15 minutes after the outage. Even though we sat in the dark the whole time, the food was excellent, and both the server and owner were amazing in making sure we got everything we needed. Even more surprising was at the end, they just asked all of us to come back the next day today to pay. We were shocked. Not many places trust their customers to come back like that, especially with current events going on. I just wanted to share this story with everyone because I was superbly impressed with how the server and owner handled the entire situation. They made sure all the customers were happy. In addition, none of the customers raised a stink. Everyone just kept eating like the lights had never gone out. They unfortunately had to close a little earlier, as when we left, the electricity still had not been turned on. However, I will definitely go back and hopefully no outages next time. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.